Welcome to the channel. In this video, we'll be tying up one of my favorite patterns for chasing spring white bass, the Bead Shiner. In the vise, we've got a Umpqua U502 bass hook in size 4. I'm just going to use UTC Ultra 140 thread. Just going to lay down a base to secure those eyes. And for the eyes, we're just using medium black bead chain eyes. I like to set those about one eye length away from the hook eye. Use some side cutters to cut those free from the chain once you get them secured. And then just like any other dumbbell eye, you want to get crossing thread wraps in both directions and then figure eight those in there to really tighten that down. And then typically at this point I would use some super glue or Zap-A-Gap to really secure those eyes, but we'll get to that in a little later step. For now, we're going to add a thread base and then add a little bit of flash. We're just going to use 2 strands of crystal flash and pearl. Just make them a little bit longer than a hook shank. For our next material, we're going to use sparkle braid, also in pearl. This just helps it really give that minnow belly vibe. Then go ahead and add a half hitch or a whip finish to secure that thread. Now this is where we'll be using the super glue like I talked about earlier. For this, I go ahead and not only super glue the eyes, but I go ahead and put it on the thread base as well. That way when you get some toothy fish, they don't fray out your sparkle braid. Go ahead and secure that down just behind the eyes. Snip off the excess. And then next, I like to go ahead and add some black Magnum Flashabou. This just helps add that dark lateral line running down the side that you see on a lot of dace and shiners. You can see it here in this cardinal shiner. Get that secured just behind the eyes on both sides. Get a couple thread wraps in there to secure it down. Then trim them to length. These can be just a little bit shorter than your crystal flash. For the next material, we're just going to take some craft fur and polar white. You can use EP fiber for the belly, but I prefer craft fur. Get a nice healthy clump. Go ahead and preen it out. Clean the under fur out of it. Even the ends up if you want. We'll get that secured right behind the eyes. A couple of thread wraps. Go ahead and advance your thread in front of the eyes and secure that down. Pull your craft fur up and then cut it so you're cutting at an angle all the way across there. This will help keep from having a bump at the end. Get that locked down, and then for the top, I like to use EP Fiber Original, and this is a golden olive minnow. You can use any color you want for this. I'm just, like I said, going for a shiner look, so typically I'll use some sort of an olive or tan or brown. And you just want to stagger your ends so that way they're not perfectly squared up. And then on EP Fiber, I'll cord it up to see how thick it is, because you want this pretty sparse. So I'll twist it up and get about twice the thickness of the hook shank. Get a couple of wraps to secure that down, and then just like the craft fur, cut that at an angle. And then if you're using a thinner thread, you may need to go back and forth and really build your head up a little bit more, but the head looked pretty decent on this one, so I just left it. Go ahead and add a couple whip finishes. And then this fly is pretty well done. You'll notice here, I've got a little bit of craft fur protruding into the eye. So I'm gonna take this thread burner and just kind of clean that eye up, so that way whenever I add UV resin, it's not tracking into the eye. These are a great little tool that you can get at most of your craft stores. All right, got that eye cleaned up, and we're going to use a little bit of Loon UV Flow resin for this, and just coat that head really well. And then I also like to coat that craft fur between the eyes and maybe get just a dab on the thread wraps behind the eyes. This makes for a super durable fly. Hit that with UV torch, cure that head. And there you have it, the Beaded Shiner. This is just a basic Clouser variant. Makes a really good little shiner pattern. Like I said, you can change colors up to match whatever dace or shiners you have in your watershed. And you can get fussy and really trim this thing up, but at the end of the day, this will fish great just like it is. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.